Good morning and welcome to the Female Guide. I am your host, Mel, and today we have the amazing Hannah joining us.
Hi.
Hello. Hannah's going to be sharing her story about what it is that she does now. She's in the process of actually setting up her own CIC with the aim to offer accessible, affordable, holistic therapies and talking therapies for women who are not necessarily in a situation to be able to afford it, but who so desperately need the help. So she's doing some amazing, amazing work, and she's going to tell us all about that and a bit more about what's led her to want to do this. So welcome, Hannah, and thank you so much for joining me today.
No, thank you so much for having me. It's an honour, honestly.
Oh, you're so, so welcome. Okay, so if you want to just start by telling us a little bit about who you are, what it is that you do.
Okay, so I'm Hannah, and I am the founder of the Women's Empowerment Group. We are in the process of being set up as a CIC to provide, as you said, Mel, to hopefully deliver accessible workshops for women who aren't able to access it themselves. As we know, for any sort of local domestic abuse charities, the waiting list, I mean, in my county, I don't know what it is for yours, but I think it's about a year, the waiting list to see anybody. And I want to try and fill that interim gap where you don't know what the fuck you're doing, you don't know who you are, you don't know where you are. And I just want to give women that let me just look after you, because that's what we need, don't we? When we're straight out of that relationship, we need somebody who knows what it's like to go through it, to take your hand and just say you're going to be okay. And that is my sort of ethos on what I'm doing.
That's amazing, absolutely amazing. So is this something that you have always wanted to do? Has this been your vision or goal for a long time, or is it something that's evolved, say, from perhaps your own circumstances?
Yes. So if I go back, so my background is sort of youth work, and I've worked with in sort of like outreach work before, helping the community. When I was doing that, I actually did some work on domestic violence, and I didn't get that much training, and I didn't know anything about it, if I'm being perfectly honest. And I remember having some cases where women were unable to see their children because they had a perpetrator in the house. And I just couldn't ever understand, why doesn't she just leave him?
Yeah.
Why doesn't she just leave him? And even as a professional, then I didn't know what it was really like. I knew what domestic abuse was, but I didn't really know.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had a bit of a troubling time myself, and I then went into experienced domestic violence for myself.
Mm-hmm.
I actually, it was on my 30th birthday, and I met a guy who I thought was going to sweep me off my feet, and he was very, very into me, and little did I know he was going to change my life forever. So I went through about 18 months domestically violent relationship, quite a short relationship in consideration to sort of other relationships that I've been in my life.
Mm-hmm.
But it was the one for me that really woke me up and made me realize that maybe everything in my past has led to this position, to the position that I'm in now, as dreadful as it is. Now, I don't like to talk too much about what actually happened in that relationship, about the trauma, because, and I think you're on the same page, Mel, we don't like to trauma dump too much. I don't like to think too much about what has actually happened to me, because I do feel like it can bring me back. And my purpose now is to use what I've learned, my survival skills and everything that I've learned on my life journey to get to where I am now, to help others. So after going through that relationship and having to go through things with social services, the police, hospital appointments, doctors, all the things that you have to go into to sort of try and make your life a little bit better.
Yeah.
I realized that it wasn't really working for me. And I was looking for something else. I knew what I needed, but I couldn't find it anywhere. As I just said, I wanted someone to come and just tell me that everything is going to be okay, and to just give me a hug, and not necessarily talk about the domestic violence, because I think when you come out of something like that, it's not something that you want to talk about straight away.
Yeah.
Or you might feel like you do. And for me, it was, I needed to build up my confidence to then get back into the outside world, to become a normal citizen again. And I just couldn't find it anywhere. And I was actually contacted by the, what is the name? The national media contacted the police after my perpetrator was sentenced, and asked if I'd come and do an interview to share my story. And I said to family and friends, like, I really think that I have a feeling like I can make a difference. Like, if I tell my story and other people read it, then it might change some things for me and for the wider public. So I had that interview, and I had just loads of women messaging me from that. They contacted the national press, they found me, they contacted me, and it's just kind of grew since then, really. And I've just thought, like, why are so many people messaging me? People are also messaging on my community page anonymously. Something needs to be done here. Like, there are too many women that feel like me. I need to be that person for them that I couldn't find for myself. So here we are, setting up a CIC. I didn't expect it to go this far at all. Like, it's a bit of a whirlwind, but yeah, I can already see the changes in women in my community, and it's the best feeling in the world. It really is.
I'm actually part of your of the Facebook group as part of your female community. Yeah, and it's absolutely amazing. And I will leave a link in the notes to it. So if anybody is listening that feels like they want to join the community, that they're going to get something from it, or that they can even provide something to somebody else. I will absolutely leave. I'll leave all the links in the notes anyway, so people can come and join. But no, that's absolutely amazing.
Thank you.
So, with what you're setting up, what services is it that you specifically want to provide that you feel is missing in, let's say, the NHS and things like that?
It's more of like a peer sort of mentoring approach that we're missing. I think, like, it's depending on what pot of funding they've got as a government, and who's responsible for that pot of money as to how they can distribute it. And from doing my research, there isn't any sort of peer, sort of soft, warm, nurturing places for women to go. It's all very sad, is the only way to explain it. It's very sort of dreary. It's, oh, let's talk about your partner hitting you and how it's affected you, is what I always seem to get. And obviously we have to work on that, and that's really important. We have to find out our whys and what's happened so we can move on. But I think, as I said, in that interim, because we're not always ready to get to that point straight away, it takes a little while for us to want to heal, to find that stuff out about ourselves. And I feel that when you're just out of it, you are not ready. First, you need to build up that confidence. Like, for an example, I remember meeting up with an old friend after my relationship and messaging her before and saying, I'm really scared about coming because I've got so fucking fat. And that always lives in my head. And I thought, why did I feel that way about myself? Like, I feel emotional now thinking about it, because I'm feel so sorry for that person that I was. And I felt too ashamed to even leave my house because of what he made me think about myself. And it wasn't true. It wasn't any of it. All those thoughts weren't real. They weren't true. It was still him living inside my head, even though he was in prison. You know, it was still him in my head. And what I'm trying to do is to delete those thoughts out of women's heads. Like, that is absolute bullshit. That's him. That's not you. You know, and I don't think within my town there's that sort of nurturing, kind sort of energy in the recovery system.
Yeah, and I think one of the main things here, particularly for this group of women, is to feel safe.
That's the thing.
Like,
That's
for
the
me
thing.
personally, I don't feel safe as such going into a hospital setting, or do you know what I mean? It doesn't feel, it feels very anal. It doesn't feel
It
very,
does, and it doesn't, because you don't build up like a relationship with these professionals, and you need to build sort of like a relationship with the people that you're healing with, because you need to heal together. And that's why I think it's so important to go out and meet other people that have been in the same situation as you, because
yeah.
you kind of form an alliance, don't you? And I mean, we have, haven't we, since we've met all of the people that we've been doing in our work. Like, I've found friends that are just, I know I'm going to have friends forever. I've always got somebody that I can talk to, and that's what these ladies need, because you feel so isolated and you feel so terrible about yourself. You just need somebody and a place to go to where it's completely safe. You can cry, you can have any feeling you want to feel without any sort of judgment.
Yeah, and I think having that, like you said, having that real community of women is so important, even to just know that you've got an ear.
Yeah, exactly.
To you, or you can be somebody else's ear when they need to talk, and to be able to share those thoughts and emotions and experiences with someone who gets it, someone who really gets it. And this is not a knock on the NHS at all. I think that they are amazing. I think they do amazing work, and I think they're very, very underrun and understaffed for the sheer amount of people that need help. But for me, I always feel more comforted. There's something really comforting, although I don't know how to explain it properly, but talking to somebody who you know has been through it, or hearing other people's experiences, there's something uncomfortably comforting.
Yeah, there is. You just feel, it's like you're on the same energy.
Yeah, absolutely. So, in going back through your own journey, what was it that you specifically did to take those steps for yourself to heal?
So I am really sort of hot on taking care of myself and being a little bit selfish. I've always been a very much a yes person to anything, going out, socializing, drinking. You know, I'd always be the yes person, and I'd get myself into bad situations because of that, because I never knew how to say no. I've never wanted to hurt people's feelings. But when you say yes to everything, you end up hurting people's feelings anyway, somehow.
Yeah.
And not only that, you end up hurting your own. And I had what I thought was lots of friends in different places, but it wasn't. They weren't really my friends. I was saying yes to everything because people wanted a bit of my energy here, there, and everywhere. So when after I got with my abuser and that happened, it was almost like I had a wake up call, and I knew that I needed to sort of change my life, not just the partner aspect of things. I meant everything. Everything needed to change. So I cut myself off. I very rarely saw anybody. I ended up finding a community online and that I spoke to, and obviously kept my very close friends. That's still my friends now, close to me. And I set up a cleaning business. I knew that I needed to keep busy. I set up a cleaning business to earn some extra money, and it became really successful really quickly. And that was the drive that I needed to know that I wasn't as shit as I thought I was. If I can create a cleaning business with the state that my mind was in, then I was capable of anything. And it was that sort of propelled me to notice myself more and notice what I was capable of. And I think we talked about this before, actually, with Layla, about how we use our survival techniques to make our lives great in the real world.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I did. Like, I used all the tricks that I used when I was in that relationship to keep myself safe, and I've started to use those things into my normal life. And I knew that if I can check, because if you knew me before, I'm a completely different person now. My friends and family will tell you. And I just thought, well, if I can do it, then surely other people can. And I mean it, if I can do it, then you can bloody do it. You know what I mean? So I just thought, I have to do something. I have to do something. And slowly I've just been and also whilst I've been teaching other ladies, I've been teaching myself as well, because it gives, I have to do it, because I've got a family of ladies behind me that are using me as a voice. And so I can't let them down, and I can't let myself down. So it's just been building and building and building. And the more that I'm learning about myself, and the more I'm learning about others, the more powerful I feel that I'm becoming, and the more energy that I'm able to sort of deliver to everybody in my community. And I just feel now that things are only going to get better and better and better, and I just want everyone to come with me. And I'm just buzzing all the time at the moment, and it's great. It's really empowering.
Oh, honestly, that is just amazing. Like, the work you're doing is amazing. The help you're providing to other women is just amazing. And I saw something, going back to what you just said, I saw something, I think it was a quote on Instagram or something the other day, and it's so true. And it says, the best way to learn anything is to teach it.
Definitely.
And
Definitely.
I found that through my own journey and my own experience as well. Even when I'm delivering training or courses or with one-to-ones, these other women don't realize how much, like, they are helping me just as much as I am helping them, even by just engaging with me, by trusting me, by, do you know what I mean? And it's just a win-win for
It
everyone
is.
doing
It
this.
is. It is, and it's wonderful, and it's really difficult as well, because I grew up as a youngster where I didn't really get on with women very well, to be honest. I really didn't. I hung around with lads all the time. I found women to be quite bitchy and bullies, and I've always been a sensitive person, so maybe that escalated more in my head. I don't know. But I've always known that I've always needed a community that is like me, you know, and I think there is. I think it's just harder to find because women are so influenced by everything else going on. And I think they just need some strong, powerful women to make them realize that actually, no, things don't have to be this way. We can actually work together and be fucking powerful. Let's stop all this bitching. Let's stop all this battling to see who's the best. Let's work together, and actually you'll feel
all
so
succeed.
much better. Like, it's insane. Like, you can't explain it, can you?
It is, like, when you work together, the results you get are just tenfold.
Yeah, they really are.
Like, rather than
really
working against one another, you know, when everybody pulls together and works together, we're all wanting the same outcome. We're all wanting the same thing, is to help people.
Definitely.
Your transformation's obviously absolutely phenomenal from where you were back then to where you are now. If you could go back to who you were all those years ago, if you could see almost in a mirror image that woman in front of you now, speaking as who you are now, what would you say to her?
I would say have faith in yourself. Have faith in yourself and believe in yourself, because I've always had dreams. I've always had visions and ideas. I've just never had the guts or the confidence to do it. And I think that no matter what anyone ever says to you, if you feel something or that you believe it, then fucking do it. You know, that's what I truly believe. And if those people don't want to follow your journey, then you have to leave them there. You have to leave them. And it's really difficult to find your people. And when you're on this healing journey, the right people gravitate to you. And that's what I would tell myself, not to trust too many people, not to put your energy into too many people. because it's draining and it's exhausting. But to have faith in your own beliefs and faith in yourself, because then the right people will gravitate to you.
Yeah, absolutely. They say, don't they, your network is your net worth.
Yeah.
Like, you do become a product of who we surround ourselves with.
Definitely.
And I remember I was speaking to somebody the other day actually about this, and I was saying years and years ago when I was going through all my really serious mental health issues and I was addicted to alcohol, I was literally going from one shitty relationship to another. Like the sort of the people I were hanging around with were all people with no dreams, no visions. They were people who were happy, you know, not necessarily happy being in that position, but people that weren't doing anything about it. And I was just dating one nasty, violent, horrible man and just going
clones of each other, just clones of each other.
Yeah, like I'm gonna say it, just fucking shitty deadbeat men. I said it.
I know the type, babe. I'm sorry, guys, but yeah, I know the type.
Yeah, and that's who I was surrounding myself with. And I used to often sit down and think to myself, why? Like, why is this happening to me? I'm not a horrible person. I'm not a nasty person. I don't beat people up. Why do I keep attracting men that are just abusing me? And it's because I did no work on myself. I feel like I could be alone. And I think for me, because I didn't have my children with me at the time as well, I was always searching for somebody to look after. And that always came out in deadbeat men.
Yeah.
But I did have to look after them. They didn't work. They were doing like a drug dealing or something like that. And it wasn't until I actually went into hospital and when I come out, I was in a position where I couldn't see anybody because I was so poorly. And it's like a light switch went off for me in that hospital. And once I actually put the time and energy and effort into myself and started to slowly realize, actually, no, you are fucking worth more than this. As if by magic, and it is magic.
It is magic.
Similar people to me started coming into my life.
Yeah. It's true. It is so true. And I don't think, but the thing is, like, when you are at that point in your life, like where everything's shit and you feel hopeless, you don't ever feel like you're ever going to get over it at that point in time. And I think that is the hardest thing, to believe it, to believe that things are going to get better if you believe in yourself. Like, to try and explain that to somebody is really difficult, because until that person is ready to do that, they're not going to. They are not going to. And no matter how much you try and explain to somebody, look, you need to stop doing this, they're not going to. But all we can do is encourage and spread the word of, look, this is what we're doing. This is how we've got our lives better. And it is bloody possible. You just have to have faith. You really do.
Yeah, I think you pretty much just answered what I was just about to ask.
Sorry.
That's fine. I was just going to say, anybody that's listening to this or watching that's finding themselves perhaps in a similar situation to what you were in years ago and is feeling like they can't see a light at the end of the tunnel or they don't know what next steps to make or what next moves to make, what advice would you give them? Obviously, join your community.
Yes, obviously join my community, but it's difficult because you want to reach out to somebody, but when you reach out to somebody and you keep going back to your perpetrator, it's really exhausting for the person that's trying to help you. I know that. What I would say is that you need to find a community that helps you, not necessarily mine or necessarily yours, but to find the right people that are going to support you. It's not always going to be your family, because sometimes families don't understand, and that's not their fault either, because it's just the way of the world and we're trying to teach everybody. Or your friend might not understand because they haven't been through it, and again, that's not their fault, because they just don't understand because they're not going through it. Find that community, find, even if it's just one person that you can talk to, and that person can give you a little bit of confidence, then I think that's what you need. It's about finding somebody that you can trust, and again, believing in yourself and trusting yourself, because you are fucking worth way more than that. way more.
Yeah. And what would you say what are your visions for the future? What are your hopes? What do you want to bring to the world and accomplish now?
Oh gosh. I mean, there's lots of things that I'd like to bring to the world, but I don't think I'm capable of all of them. I would just like to see more support for women, no judgment for women, because I do feel that we're still very backwards in the way that we view domestic violence, and I think that there needs to be training higher up, sort of like MP level, so they understand. So then when they're distributing these pots of money here, there, and everywhere, they're not just going to say, oh, we're just going to give a little bit here to the women that are being beaten up because they're on drugs or they're alcoholics, because that's what they think.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not okay, because the reason why people take drugs and alcohol a lot of the time is because they're in domestic abusive relationships, or they've got a very codependent relationship with another user. So instead of making those judgments to these women, fucking help them. Like, it's not hard. Like, it infuriates me, and that is one of my biggest goals is to stop this judgmental mentality and treat every woman the same. Nobody deserves to go through domestic violence. Nobody deserves to be victim blamed. And it makes me so angry, because no one deserves to be unhappy. Nobody.
And what are your visions and goals for your own CIC? Obviously, when it's all up and running
Yeah,
properly.
of course. So obviously, as I said, I'd like to offer sort of like holistic healthcare. So I want to also deliver like storytelling workshops, where everyone gets a chance to tell their story and ask questions and just open up. I just want it to be the way I've sort of envisioned it is like a modern day WI, like a women's institute, like a modern day version, because WI has been going around for years, so it must be good. I mean, I've never been, but it must be good if it's been going around for so long. But it needs updating. Like, we need to learn about the modern world and about modern relationships, and that is my vision, because I think it's really needed.
Yeah, absolutely, definitely. Well, thank you so much for coming on and sharing more about what you're doing. The work you're doing is amazing. It is going to take your local area by storm. You heard it here first, guys.
Thank you.
And like I said, I will leave links to your Instagram for people to follow. I follow you on Instagram, and I know you upload a lot of really good content there. I always take a lot of value away from things that you upload. I'll leave a link to join your community as well, because the work you're doing is just phenomenal. I need more of it, and yeah, it's just amazing. You're amazing, and yeah, thank you so much for.
Thank you. It's been so fun. It's gone so quick.
I know it does, doesn't it? We just talk.
I've got so much to say.
Oh, but yeah, thank you so much, Hannah.
Thank you, darling. And we'll speak again soon, I'm sure.
Yeah, definitely. And thank you everybody for listening as well. Share this to somebody who you think might need to hear it. Obviously, get in touch with Hannah if you want to join her amazing community of women. All the women are absolutely fabulous. I'm a part of this community myself. Yeah, and just thank you. And I will speak to you all soon.